Hi, everyone. This is Dali Rivera, your Diversity and Anti-Bullying Academy creator and coach. And welcome to another segment of the Dalitalks show. So today I want to talk to you about unconditional love. So I chose to speak about this because right now that we are in quarantine in very close proximity to our loved ones, there have been a lot of conflicts, probably among children or among uh, parents or parents and children. And some of you might have also discovered that your children are doing things that are not very appropriate, or they might have fessed up on something that they did in the past. So it's really important for you to make sure that they know that regardless of what they do, you're still going to love them, right? Because I believe that the number one fear of a child is losing the love from a parent. And I can relate to this. As a child, I remember not wanting to share something that I had done with my mom because I feared that she would just look at me differently. And as a parent, I've experienced the same thing with my kids where they came to me about something they had done that they were not very proud of. And I remember the first time I heard them say, "Well, I didn't want to tell you because I didn't think that you would take it well, or I thought you would see me differently, or that you would not love me the same." And that's hard to hear because, as a parent, I, no matter what they do, no matter what imperfections, I love my children. I want them to do the best that they can, but I know that they're not perfect. So, from experience, this is what I have learned. First of all, give them an opportunity to understand that they have various methods of communication with you, and do this before anything happens, and repeat it over time, several times, so that they're always aware that you are an open door and that they can come to you for help or for understanding, guidance, or just to confess something that they've done. All right, so methods of them coming forward to you. It depends on, I guess, the level of um, wrongness, I guess you can call it, that they've done. And you can have your child choose which method. So, for example, when my children do something that's embarrassing or that they're very just uncomfortable with, I tell them, of course, you can always come to me in private and talk to me. But if that's really, really difficult, then you can write me a letter. And this has been very, very effective. They have been doing this since they were very, very young. So, I mean, it started off with little things like, "Mommy," I found a little card that said, "Dear Mommy, uh, I'm so sorry. I did wrong. I was the one who dipped into the cookie jar, not my sister." To other things, as they have gotten older, that are a little more serious. So it's really nice to know that they can come to me, but I know that when I see one of those letters, I said, "Oh boy, what happened now?" But I keep an open mind and I read it and I try not to judge because, it takes a lot of courage for a child to come forward and admit that they've done something wrong. The other thing is you can talk to someone uh, that is of a neutral party. So, for example, a therapist, if they're going to therapy or if they're doing telehealth right now, or say a friend, or with a family that knows both of you really well. For example, a godparent or a really, really good aunt or uncle. um, you could also even use technology. Your child could be invited by you to record a video and send it to you, or an email, or just a recording and send it to you. And then once you receive this information, I want you to stay calm, okay? Because I know that sometimes it's really, really hard to understand that your child has just admitted to something that you might have blamed somebody else for, or that you just absolutely don't like because it goes against your ethics or morals or values, or the teachings that you have, been instilling in them since they were young. So I urge you to try to keep your judgment card locked up tight. Put it away, because you have to remember you were not a perfect child either. You did some things that your parents completely disapproved of. And it is not fair to go and expect perfection from children, because they're trying to figure it out, and as adults we are still trying to figure it out. So no judgment, and set ground rules of no yelling, no name calling, no profanity, and no belittling, no sarcasm, or no being condescending. All of those things are very hurtful, even if you do them in a very calm way instead of shouting and being all angry, because that's what kids are going to always remember, and that's how they're going to define themselves, however you treat them. So if they've come to you about something, make sure that you tell them, I still love you. This does not define who you are. You made a mistake just like anyone else. Maybe it was a really huge mistake right now, but I'm proud of you for coming forward. I know it takes a lot of courage, even if you wrote it or sent it in an audio message or an email, but I'm proud of you. And this doesn't mean that you're not going to get, um, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get corrective action. Some people call that punishment. I like to call it corrective action, because corrective action is correcting an action that they have done that they shouldn't have done. So try to come together about that corrective action and make sure that the crime fits, that the punishment fits the crime, because a lot of times we are so upset that we forget that we can't just punish them with anything. It has to really be related to what they did. So for example, if they were using their computer in the middle of the night watching iCarly, then the punishment or the corrective action is to limit screen time, or to take it away for a certain amount of time. If they came home late after curfew, then punishment is they are grounded. They can't go out anywhere for a certain amount of time, and that's up to you to decide. If they um, took 10 Oreo cookies when they were supposed to take only 3, then guess what? For the next few days, if anybody has dessert, then they get no dessert. So that is, matching up the punishment to the crime. Let's see what else. The other thing is to mention what unconditional love is. So I feel like it's important for kids to understand what these two words are, because you don't hear it as much anymore. Unconditional love is to love people regardless of the flaws that they have, right? And the best example for children is for them to see it when it's given to them, and also when they see it in their household. So among the parents with the other siblings, and of course with them. So make sure that you bring this up. It's like, oh, I love you, kiddo. I love you unconditionally. Stuff like that you can say. Or, you can mention how your parents might have loved you very unconditionally when you were growing up, or still do. But try to make sure that they know what that means, because it's going to be very important for their development. By them knowing that they are unconditionally loved and that their mistakes are not going to define them, they're going to know their self-worth, and they're not going to hate themselves to the point to where they're going to punish themselves for having made mistakes. That is very toxic and very hurtful, and it's very life lasting when kids do that, or anyone. I'm pretty sure that you can think back about a moment sometime in your past where you made a mistake and somebody gave you that horrible look or that character change with you, or even the silent treatment for a long time. And and it stung you for a long time, even maybe even now you still might think about that and cringe, or it hurts, or you just want to cry, or you just wish you could erase that out of your memory bank. So um, have this conversation with your child, and make sure that when you have those open conversations, you are calm. Try not to immediately respond. Remember to allow them to listen to you when you are speaking, but also you need to listen. And you can ask questions. Once they come to you about a mistake that they have done, they have opened the door to any question. So if it's something about, committing a crime, like, I don't know, carjacking, or they said yes when somebody offered them drugs, they open the door so you can ask any questions, because at this point they want you to know. And a lot of times when they come forward about this, it's because they're scared, because something has gone wrong with their whatever activity they engaged in. A lot of kids, they know that a lot of things can happen, and they go ahead and they do whatever action you tell them. Like, don't go with, I don't know, so and so without wearing a seatbelt, and then they get into a car accident and they get hurt. To them, it doesn't become real until it happens. And then they realize, oh, snap, I should have listened, and now I have to do this, or this is how it's changed my life, or whatnot. So ask those questions, make sure you ask, well, what did you learn from this? And how do you think you could have done better? How could you have changed the outcome of this action? Or how could you just change the whole outcome altogether? Um, you want to make sure that when you're having this conversation, it doesn't feel like you absolutely can't stand them. You want to make sure that they know that this is a learning opportunity. And it's okay to say, I'm really upset. Actually, I'm very angry inside about what you did, not about you. It's about the action, not the person. And you have to remember that the frontal cortex of children is not developed, actually, of even adults, until the age of 25. And that means that because it's not fully developed, sometimes they cannot conceptualize things very well or rationalize things very well. I know that it sounds crazy, but if you think back in your own life, you think about all the dumb things that you did, and it's probably before, most of them are before the age of 25. And then after that, you kind of start settling in and acting a little more mature and making better decisions, right? So that's why I mentioned the frontal cortex, and to just love them unconditionally. Right now, they're probably driving you crazy some days because we're in quarantine and you're stuck with them day and night. And, I, I shouldn't even say stuck with them. You're just gifted to have the time with them that you have, because the world is not as demanding right now as before, where you have to go to work and then you have all these things to go to after work, and then you're left with not much time with your family. Well, right now you do have all of that time with your family. And I actually, at first, I was thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to be stuck at home with kids. But then I thought, that's really really horrible to say. I shouldn't think of it that way, because then my experience during this shelter in home is going to be really rough. So if you just change your mindset to, hey, this is just a great opportunity to spend time together and see how things run in the house when everybody's in. What would it be like to always work from home? What if all of us worked from home at one point, in the future, as a permanent thing? So, I mean, could you get creative? Would you have fun? What would you miss? So, I mean, I now I'm going off into another topic, but the whole point is that if you talk about I'm stuck at home with you, they're going to not feel that unconditional love. So I hope that this piece of advice is helpful to you. And if you have any stories to share, or anything that you learned from your parents or somebody in your life giving you unconditional love, I would love to hear it. So go ahead and send in your stories. You can email me at dalitalks.com, or you can share them even on Facebook or Instagram. My handles are always at Dalitalks. Thank you so much for watching. And don't forget that I have um, your Family's Guide to Bullying Prevention 101, a digital workbook available for $12. And you can click the link in the show notes to get your digital copy so that you can take advantage of this free time that you have with your children and work on these activities. They're very short and sweet. And I made sure that I made the book very colorful and engaging for kids from grades 3 to 8th. So if you feel like your kids are too young or too old for this book, do me a favor and share that link with anybody that you think might need it, like teachers or your siblings if they have children, or your neighbors, anybody that might take advantage of it. And also, if you haven't signed up for my newsletter, please check out Dalitalks.com and you'll get that pop-up box. Well, all you have to do is enter your first name in your email, and I will never share your information with anybody, and I will update you once a week. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your support. Until next time.